To score 60 international goals, most elite strikers need a century of appearances. Erling Haaland hit that mark in exactly 54 games. Yet, despite the domestic trophies and the scoring records, his resume carried a glaring zero. He had never played a single minute at a World Cup. The Norwegian national team had been entirely isolated from the tournament for 28 years. They last qualified 2 years before he was even born. It created a strange reality where the most lethal scorer of a generation was forced to watch the sport's premier competition from home. That isolation ended in June 2026. The tournament bracket was suddenly forced to deal with a predatory force it had no experience defending. He is a genetically engineered athlete who simply chose football as his weapon. His mother was a national champion heptathlete. As a teenager, his sheer physical dominance earned him a call-up to Norway's national handball team. Even at 5 years old, his explosive power was an anomaly, setting a world record for his age group in the standing long jump. This chart shows Norway's national goal-scoring record over the last century. For 92 years, that number remained flat. At 24 years old, Haaland shattered it entirely. These physical metrics explain the efficiency. They outline a specimen built from the ground up to physically overwhelm defenders. When he finally stepped onto the pitch for his World Cup debut against Iraq, it took exactly 29 minutes to find the net. By the final whistle, he had scored twice, establishing a brutal rhythm for the group stage. He continued scoring in his second match, and then his third. Only 2 other players in the history of the sport have opened their World Cup accounts with 3 consecutive scoring matches. This graphic tracks the race for the tournament's Golden Boot. With 5 goals in those 3 games, he closed the gap to sit directly behind Lionel Messi. So let me know in the comments, does the 25-year-old monster overtake the GOAT for the ultimate scoring crown? These opening 3 games serve as a notice of intent. He has arrived to target the scoring tallies of the sport's greatest icons. That sheer dominance made the round of 32 match against Ivory Coast so unsettling. For the vast majority of the game, Norway was completely overrun. This heat map shows the pressure Ivory Coast applied. They registered 14 shots, pinning the Norwegians deep. Up front, Haaland touched the ball exactly once in the entire first half. Typical strikers grow frustrated, dropping deep to chase the ball. He simply waits. In the 86th minute, a single structural breakdown in the defense gave him a half-second of unmarked space. He converted the cross into a tap-in goal. That lone clinical strike against the run of play secured Norway's first knockout victory in the history of the World Cup. You can successfully starve him of possession for 85 minutes, but a single defensive misstep is an automatic concession. Advancing to the round of 16 guarantees a collision with the 5-time champions, Brazil. That exact matchup carries a heavy historical weight. 28 years ago, in 1998, Norway stunned Brazil with one of the greatest upsets the tournament has ever seen. Now, the next generation of Norwegian players returns to that exact stage, carrying the echoes of that legendary squad. But there is also a deeply personal conflict embedded in this match. Haaland will line up against Brazilian center-back Gabriel. The 2 men have clashed repeatedly in the Premier League, engaging in bruising, highly physical battles that nearly crossed the line into violence. It combines an unstoppable attacking force, a decades-old historical rivalry, and intense individual animosity. Defensive tactics lose their meaning against him. Opponents can double mark him, dominate the midfield, and restrict his touches entirely, and it rarely changes the outcome. Because he does not rely on rhythm or momentum. He relies on executing split-second conversions the moment the ball enters the penalty area. If Norway pushes past Brazil, there isn't a single team remaining in the bracket that wants to draw them next. Winning a World Cup at 25 years old on his very first attempt would cement his claim as the most ruthless goal scorer the sport has ever produced. Head to the comments and let me know if you agree or disagree. Is he already the best in the world? The tunnel never stops.